Now, let's see. Oh, do you remember this picture?
The captain of the football team. That was 2 or 3 years ago. He never knew how much I loved him. I guess he never knew I existed at all.
Well, we all go through crushes like that on teachers or...
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Wired for Music Series 2 webinar. It is your girl Anna Marie back hosting again another webinar for you. And today is going to be a good one. We've got 3 special guests joining me in just a moment. And today we're going to be talking about how to build, maintain, and grow your community base. So if you are an artist or creative and you're thinking about building and developing your fan base, this is for you. The people that will be joining me today are specialists and have really actively grown their community.
Someone keeps trying to hang up on me.
So yeah, this is one. If you can hear background, oh sorry, I'm at work. So there's extra noise going on, but hopefully you can hear me clearly. So I want to bring to the stage our guests. First, we have Marc Brown. Marc is in the music business. He's got great knowledge and musical background. He's also got digital audio knowledge that has helped him deliver unique insights to his from his audiences from Tallinn to Toronto. We've also got Vacation, who's a rapper from East London that goes by the name of Vacation. He's been in the game for about 4 years and he's developed his fan base and also debuted his first EP last year. And lastly, we've got Edith Escobar, who is a multi-genre DJ. She's DJ for like Pussy Palace, Lick, and she's also on 1020 Radio. Hey guys, you can unmute yourselves. How are you doing?
Hello.
Yo, hey. What's good?
Hello, how's everyone feeling?
Good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, good, man. Bit nervous. First time doing something like this, but it's lit. Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Don't be nervous. You're in good company. If you are watching live on YouTube, make sure to give us a comment. Even I see you. Hey, girl. So leave us a comment if you've got any questions. Then just pop it in the text box below and I'll be sure to answer that towards the end of the show. We'll be here until 2 p.m. So grab yourself a notebook if you've got a notebook, or just pay attention. This will be up on YouTube for all of you to watch later on. Okay, so I will just start with what do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today. Marc, I'll start with you.
Maybe that's because I'm the oldest. So I'm 46 and I've worked in the music business Yeah, well, very old. Basically my whole life. So I started in Canada, then I moved to London, and I worked in tons of different jobs in the music business in London. And then about 5-6 years ago, I started this platform called Byta for sending and receiving digital audio. So I work with a team of 10, 12 people all around the world, and we've developed this platform. But then what I think is super relevant to what we're talking about today is that we have this other part to what we do called How We Listen. And that's where we talk about how people find and listen to music. And I think when you talk about community, that's sort of what you're doing. Either you're an artist or you're someone who wants to work in music, and you're just trying to get the word out somehow. And so I found myself over the last 6 months spending a lot of time on calls like this, either doing workshops or doing panels where people talk about how they find and listen to new music, how they find their community online. And funny enough, I think the reason I'm here is because I did a talk for Creative Mentor Network, which is where I met T, who's driving all the stuff behind the scenes here. So this is a perfect example of what it's like to build a community. You meet someone somewhere and then you invite you to talk somewhere else. So happy to be here.
Thank you for that. I'm looking forward to finding a little bit more a little bit later. Vacation. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, hey, what's up, peeps? So yeah, my real name's Steven, but I go by the stage name Vacation. And music is, I would say, my first passion, but I actually entered the creative space studying architecture. So right now I'm in my second year at University of the Creative Arts in Canterbury in Kent, studying architecture in my second year right now. So down to my last deadline, so just trying to get that wrapped up and stuff. So yeah, I started music about 4 years ago. And yeah, it's just been a case of just finding myself through music, growing, and especially the way I started. I'll talk a bit about that when it's my time to speak. But yeah, it's just been a journey, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Linking up with T, meeting T Peters through the open mics, one of the open mics that we both went to, and yeah, friendship has grown from that. And the whole journey of music, it just explains how your life just it wanders out into the world where you meet so many different people, so many different like peers of music, and in the creative space itself, which is very wide span. So yeah, just enjoying the journey at the moment, and I'm happy I'm here today to kind of give you guys some advice on how to maybe grow your support base or whatever you want to do with music or creativity in general. So yeah, that's me, man.
Thank you, and good luck with your deadlines.
Thank you.
And Edith, I'll go to you. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hey guys, so my name's Edith Escobar and I'm a DJ, like Anna Marie said, a multi-genre DJ for the last 2 years. I'm extremely passionate about Black music and Black culture, so I've really tried to like immerse myself in the London nightlife scene. I'm also really passionate about the LGBT community, so a lot of the events that I DJ at are reflective of that. So I try really hard to align myself with things that I'm passionate about. I've had pre-pandemic bookings at Pussy Palace and Fabric and Lick as well. And yeah, currently with this pandemic, I've just been doing mostly radio and stuff like that to still try and engage with my audience somehow, because obviously clubs are closed. But yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Okay, so this question will be to all of you, but again, I'll go in the same order. When you were first starting out, well, Mark, you've traveled all over the place. Like you say, started in Toronto, and then you moved to London, like in Stockholm. So what is it like building a network of people or a community when you're just starting out? You're like, okay, this is what I want to do. How do you navigate the space?
I think the hardest thing for me was I was in university in Canada and I hated it. And you're always just looking for that first route in, the first step. I think everybody thinks is the hardest. I notice when I do a lot of talks that people talk about how they just don't know what first step to take. And I think it became, you have to knock on a lot of doors, be that through music, trying to get your records played, or like what Edith does, actually playing records out in clubs. You're always basically contacting people all the time to try to generate some interest in what you're doing or get an opportunity to show people what you can do. And I think it became a lot easier when I realized, oh, I did it once. I literally started volunteering, actually. but this was ages ago. And one after that, I thought, okay, well, if I did that, maybe I can do it again. And I think the biggest thing about community is trying to think to yourself, what do I want? I talk about this a lot when I do my workshops. It's this idea of here and there, that I'm here and there's some place there and I don't know what there is. And vacation will be the same for you. You're thinking, oh, I want to go there. And you're trying to define in your mind what maybe the way you want to move forward and what your community looks like. You know, Edith described the kind of club she plays in and what's important to her. And I think that's super important, that you can't build a community if you don't know what you'd like your community to be like. And I think that's a super important thing, that you think, okay, well, I like this kind of music, or these are my views and my beliefs, or this is who I align, how I identify myself. Those are I think the most important things. And then you start to think, okay, well, these organizations or these groups or these club nights or these record labels could be the places where I would feel comfortable. And then you know what to do. So it's tough at the start, that sorting process, trying to figure out who you are. But once you get a bit of that confidence that you know who you are and you know who and what you want to be a part of, I think it gets a lot easier.
Okay. Thank you. That's a very great point to make. I think, like, even in my journey, it's been a bit weird at the beginning. You're like, but yeah, you're right. Once you find that confidence and you find that flow within yourself, it's easier. It gets easier by the day. So thank you for that. Vacation, I'll come to you next. Like you said that you're studying architecture, so I guess coming into the music scene is a bit of a
it's a bit of a change. Yeah,
So how did you start networking and building your
community? Yeah, so just to emphasize what Mark said, which was very true about building your community and seeing what community you actually want to be a part of and actually want to create. It takes a lot of finding yourself. And I would say my life actually began when I started music. Back in secondary school and stuff, I always used to sing and take part in concerts, and a lot of my family do music themselves. So it was always, I would say it was always within me, but it took an actual situation for me to realize, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my second passion. I therefore want this to be the full part of my life. So it takes a case of just seeing how you can build your community through yourself, finding out what you're into. For me personally, it took about 3 years for me to actually find my sound, which is why it took about 3 years for actually for me to drop my project, Harmony. So yeah, I wanted my first debut project to be what I wanted it to be. So just be the best possible outcome possible. And through that, I had to find myself, develop my sound, learn from other peers in music, see what music I was into, what I used to listen to back in the day, what really connects with me. And yeah, it's just a building process and a journey, really. So I would say the first step to actually building your community is actually just finding you and seeing what you want to do. What's your goals, your intentions, what you want to achieve through this? Is it family orientated? Is it friends? Is it money? Whatever that drive may be, you got to find that and be true to yourself whilst you're doing that. So yeah, that's kind of the first step for me, really, just taking the conscious decision to actually find yourself through it.
Thank you. That was a really nice answer. And Edith, how about you?
So a bit like Vacation said, it's definitely been a bit of a self-discovery journey as well. Obviously, like as a DJ, like when I was starting, I didn't necessarily think of myself as this socialite that was going to be all up in the clubs. Like I'm really quite reserved. Mm-hmm. And so the way in which I got started was there was an event night called, so I went to the City of Leicester, there was an event night called Beastwang, and I sort of began as a sales and ticket rep for them, and where I would just kind of sell tickets as well, but also contribute to like the artist discussions. And I kind of noticed that like even my opinions on music and stuff could be valuable. And so that's how I kind of gained the confidence to really like DJ and be out there. And yeah, I guess, yeah, it's just been a lot of a journey in the sense that obviously one thing's kind of always led to the next. And I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it's basically been it's been a bit of a journey. I don't know if I really answered your question, but I hope that helps.
You did, thank you. I do find that with creatives or anybody in industry that they tend to be introverted. A lot of people that are like super like confident on stage or whatever in their personal life are like quite introverted. I can relate to that.
I'm totally an introvert. Yet we're all sitting on YouTube. Like, what's wrong with this
picture? Makes no sense, but I guess that's the way it is. Now, obviously we've all been affected by COVID, and the last year we all went into lockdown. Everything's been, businesses shut down, clubs been shut down. So how do you maintain, or how have you gone about maintaining your work or your community during that time? Mark, I'll start with you.
That's a good question, actually. Like our company, we work as a distributed team. So which we've never had an office. So when the pandemic came along, it was sort of like the world was catching up with us. So I'm quite used to being online and having conversations, on Slack or phone calls. But I must say, in the couple of years running up to all this stuff, I had started to do more talks and go out and travel around a bit. But I had never done anything online. And for the first 6 months last year, I didn't want to do anything like this. So one of the biggest things for me is having learned to feel comfortable in this environment where you're talking and you don't know if anyone's listening. And if you use Zoom, I do some presentations on Zoom, and it's just the weirdest feeling in the world. And I think everybody else, I'm sure, would agree with me that when you're starting to interact with other people, like, you feel very uncomfortable, I think. And you sort of need to accept that that's the way it is. And because you, like Ida said, you initially you're not sure if you have anything to offer. And so if you're on Zoom and you're talking to all these people and you don't know if anyone's there or if they care, if they're just cooking dinner, it becomes difficult. And I think I've learned to accept that, hopefully somebody likes what I have to say. There's a little piece of knowledge that someone takes away. So in the pandemic, it's definitely been learning to enjoy doing this online, because I'm in Sweden, and doing stuff online means that we can get people together much more easily. You can have a lot of more diverse voices from all over the world at the same time. And I think that would be the big thing when it comes to community, is that the online thing makes it way richer in a way. I know that it's hard not seeing people physically, but for me, it's been a big benefit to interact with so many different people all over the world and to have confidence in doing it, because this is weird. Let's just be honest. It's so weird. If you can't touch people, it's a bit weird. So, but that's been a positive thing for me, for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is weird because, like, I might get to know you, like, oh, Mark's really cool, but I'll probably never meet you.
I know. But we have one day. That's what I mean. We have met. We've got to accept that this is not, that this is a legitimate way to interact with people, and that we can learn stuff from each other. We don't have to sit next to each other to have a shared experience. I think that's, from my view, I think it's super important to think that this is a really good way to interact, even though it's not the physical world. It still feels pretty good. You can learn a lot from each other, and I like that a lot.
Absolutely. I agree with that. That's a very good point, a really good take to have on this current situation. So thank you for that. Vacation, how has it been for you during this time, or COVID time, maintaining your community or continuing to build your community? Because you released a project last year in like April. That was at the peak of
when it just started. So I would say I was pretty much blessed in the sense that it dropped at the right time, because me dropping my debut project, I was able to kind of just lay back a bit, and I didn't have to go studio much, and I just had to let it breathe. So it was there, it stayed with people for a long time. And then once it got to about April, May, June, July, around August, I think that's when I dropped my my single after that. And then it was just a case of me maintaining my formula. So before COVID had started, I had this system where I'll do this sort of cover series called Happy Sunday, and it's basically making a point of dropping something every Sunday, whether that's a cover over a Tupac beat, a Common beat, who's my favorite rapper, just 90s hip hop, what I was interested in and what I knew my supporters enjoyed and what they found to kind of build a relationship with me. I think that's the main thing with your support base, kind of just building a relationship and actually getting to know these people on a one-to-one basis. And through that, they stay with you despite the situations, as long as you're consistent and you're showing that, yeah, you can trust that I'm going to release music. So it was a case of me having that there, having the project, being able to breathe and stay with them for a while. And because I did build a studio within my room, I didn't have to, even though the studio had closed down, I didn't have to go to studio, so I could still record music. And then once studios did reopen, I did get a couple songs mixed and mastered. And then after that, it was just back on dropping stuff on Spotify and streaming platforms. So it's just a case of maintaining, really. And I feel like this COVID situation, it really allowed people to kind of find a formula that works for them, to kind of say, okay, if we can make it through this, we can make it through anything, basically, in terms of whether that's your business, finance, or whatever you're dealing with. So yeah, it's just about building your formula, seeing what works before, how you can bring that the best way possible through this situation. So I think it was just a case of maintaining the system that I had in place and just working with that and kind of acting like it didn't really matter whether COVID was around or not. And I did take a bit of a break because I had to go back to university as well, and everything's online. And because it's an architecture course, we have to build models at home, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot. So juggling the two, it was hard, but yeah, we managed to pull through, and we're still pushing through now. So hopefully summertime things can pick back up. But yeah, that's the main thing, I think, maintaining.
Thank you for that. And Edith, how about you? Because I guess being a DJ, you've got to be in the clubs, you've got to be at the events. But there was none of that for a whole year. Only now we're just about coming back. So what have you been doing during this time?
So yeah, it's definitely been interesting as a DJ because the metrics have definitely changed. Like the way in which you'd get your affirmation and your praise would be, having people react to your songs in the club, and just having that crowd reaction and not having that to rely on anymore. It's kind of hard to know if you're still reaching people in the same way. But I think interestingly enough, in this pandemic, we've kind of seen a resurgence of like radio and like even things like Clubhouse and stuff like that. So people do want to connect it to others, and like you've seen it with No Signal Radio, how it's just been like a community of radio and stuff like that. So I've kind of had to tap into, I took a break when the pandemic hit because I was just like, I don't know how to continue. Like I had so many bookings and stuff in the pipeline before the pandemic hit, and now like there's radio silence, right? So I was a little bit frustrated at that to begin with, but then I kind of just got inspired by like my peers especially. So yeah, the main way in which I've been able to build a community is just by showing love to other people who are doing the same thing that I am. And that's kind of helped us to like, yeah, just keep in contact. And obviously when you have a DJ listen to your song as well, it's different to then having like a fan listen to it, because they can give you like constructive feedback and they can hear. So as much as it's important to build a fan base, it's also equally as important to kind of connect with your peers as well. And that's something that I've really been kind of blessed with this pandemic. Is just that I've been able to connect with quite a lot of DJs as well, just by posting mixes and like staying active on SoundCloud. So it's kind of been a bit of a throwback with the SoundCloud mixes and stuff, but it's actually been a really good way of connecting with others. And yeah, I just think people want to be in the loop with people ultimately. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I understand that it must be tough, but you are right. It is important to connect with your peers, and you never know. People are always planning things, and it's always, I always say, it's great to work horizontally, to work with people on your level, people that you already know. So like in time, you never know. You might get a gig through someone that you know. We'll go to some of the questions that we've had in our YouTube comments. So Ivanolua, I don't even want to butcher your name, I'm sorry. She says, what network events and open mic nights do you guys go to and meet all these great people? Anyone can answer that.
Okay, so I think the main one is just like unlikely sources like Facebook as well. Like there's a thing called Red Bull Normal Not Novelty. So it's just like a just creatives in general are just kind of sharing their links and posting their stuff. So often when I create a mix, I'd be straight on Facebook, which seems a bit of like an unlikely source, but going on there and posting my stuff in there, and Rhythm Sisters community, and Foot in the Door as well is also another one where you can sort of just see events and like opportunities to connect and collaborate with others. So I hope that helps.
Vacation, how about you? Because you said you met T at open mic night.
Yeah, I met T at the open mic. It was Say No More. So that's one really good one that both of us go to. T had a headline show there as well. So did I. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's based in Shoreditch. And there's also Bring Your Own Bars. That's in Wembley. And Vibes With Us. They're based near Camden Sides, I believe. But they do a lot of online open mics as well every Monday. So yeah, it's good if you could check that as well. So there's a few. If you look online, and if you look on Eventbrite as well, there's a lot of tickets of different events you could go to for open mics. It's really wide based, whether you're doing rap or singing or even poetry, spoken word and poetry. Like the poetry scene is really elevated. Since I started music, it's very much elevated. I've seen a lot more open mics based around that. So yeah, there's loads of open mics you could go to based in London and outside London also.
Sorry, I just had to sneeze. Mark, could you recommend any networking events or anyone looking to get into music business?
The thing I was going to say is, because I can never remember where I learn anything. You feel like you're just pulling this piece of string, and you just pull it a little more and then a little more. But I think, like, back to what Edith was saying about like getting feedback from peers and stuff. Like the key is to ask, like you like exactly what they did asking that question. Like maybe Edith, if you can write in the chat the places that you find things, and then T can throw them in the YouTube chat. It's like the best thing to do is to just ask your friends, like, hey, where do you go to do this? Or like everybody loves to give advice. So I don't really know how I figured out how to do one thing. Like I had to try to remember how I met T, and that came from just bumping into him, and then him being a nice guy, and I guess maybe I was nice or something. And now he sends me voice notes on WhatsApp. So it's a very natural process, but you know, reaching out to your friends and saying, hey, I'm looking for this, do you know of something, is usually the best way to do it.
Great advice. Thank you then, Mark. We do have another question from Evan. To Vacation, how did you find out what your listeners were interested in to know the right cover beats to use for your happy Sundays?
Yeah, so in terms of the Happy Sundays, it would start with me kind of picking my favorite instrumentals to rap over. I'm a huge fan of Jay Dilla, and I feel like he's the greatest producer for me, and he's a big inspiration in terms of the beat selection and the type of vibe I try to chase within my music, just taking you to a place, a moment in time tailored to you. So yeah, it started off with me doing Jay Dilla beats, and I know for a fact a lot of people are big fans of Jay Dilla. So I knew there was an automatic connection, and I knew that even though certain people might not have that as their favorite, the respect is there because it was in that time and it was 90s and Jay Dilla is himself. So I knew they could connect with the beat itself and actually introduce them to me and what I had to say within the beats as well. So they didn't just discard it and be like, okay, I'm not into that, I'm into grime, I'm into drill, do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was good. And I feel like working with something that had a wide audience in terms of demographic for like age, so ranging from 20 to even 60-year-olds commenting on my music saying they enjoy it. So it was a case of just figuring out the right type of music that the general audience would be interested in. And then it got to a case of people actually recommending beats that I should rap over. My photographer, he sends me a lot of beats I should rap over as well. And yeah, it's kind of just growing a relationship with my supporters like that, and actually having them be a part of the music itself, so they can feel like they played a part in that. It's like, oh, I recommended him that beat and he's been able to do this. So it's like they become a part of your journey and the actual music you create as well, which is really, really important, and it does well to build that relationship with them. So yeah, that's kind of my process for Dinner Happy Sundays. I had to slow it down because I went back to university as well. So with the Happy Sundays, it was every Sunday, and with that came visuals as well, and I just had no time to do it. So yeah, hopefully I can bring that back. But yeah, that was my process for selecting the beats and stuff.
Thank you for that. And what you said about getting your community involved in your process is such an amazing thing to do, because they kind of build that bond with you. And then if they see the success based off what you've done, I chose that beat, or I suggested that beat, and then it goes on to do crazy things. They feel a little bit sad.
Of course, yeah.
So that's a good thing. We do have a question from T. He says, what methods have you guys taken to keep your fans or your communities connected with you in this time? Edith, I'll throw that one to you first.
So it's been a bit of a mishmash, I guess. So I guess the main one has been obviously using my radio show to kind of, because I feel like the pandemic has actually been really great for music overall. So just people that I've met, even at my DJing events and stuff, if they've got a new release, I'll always, email them and just be like, can you send me a copy of that so I can play it on my show? And obviously they're always really appreciative of having their shows played and stuff. And like, I guess with my radio show is only like 3 months old. So I guess I'm really trying to just make it a collaborative effort, I guess, and just have the people that I know and the people that they know have them send me their music and stuff so that I can play it as well. And then I've actually ended up on quite a few mailing lists and stuff like that because of that, because I'm really trying to build a show here that's not just me playing, City Girls and whatever, but also actually uplifting people from my community and stuff, and making it a show that people actually want to be on, if that makes sense. So that's been my main way of connecting with others, and obviously trying to use social media and like connecting with my peers has kind of led me to have a couple of like studio sessions, but studio sessions in the pipeline, basically, with people that I've collaborated with over the pandemic. So as things are opening up, I'll be able to actually build more on those connections and professional relationships that I've been building on in this time.
Thank you for that. Vacation, I'll go to you. That, I mean, of course, you said you were doing your Happy Sundays. Is there anything else that you were doing to keep the community connected with you?
Yeah, so on top of trying to stay consistent, a few months ago I did start a group chat entitled V's Previews. So it's basically showcasing instrumentals, vibes that I listen to, ideas that I have, unfinished work, and actually inviting my supporters into a sense of atmosphere where they can see what I'm working on. And I feel like that does well at building the relationship with them. So it's all about a relationship with me in terms of interacting with my supporters and stuff. And right now the group chat has about 50 people in the group chat. So with that group chat, it's on WhatsApp, and they're also able to send some instrumentals that they're listening to or mixes on SoundCloud. So it creates a family in a sense. So actually having conversations, whether they support me or the certain level of support that they give me, they're there and they know who I am and I know who they are on a first name basis. So I feel like the group chat therefore helped as a method of kind of inviting them into your creative process. Because I think even before you reach a certain sense of like popularity and stuff, just showing what you're working on to your supporters who started with you from the ground up and seeing how they've been a part and been able to look at that first-hand experience of seeing what you're working on, it's really valuable to them and to you yourself. So yeah, that's one method that's in the process and it's working at the moment. So yeah, it's going well.
Thank you for that. I think the group chat is a really good idea. From my perspective as a presenter, I know Ebenoluwa wants to get into presenting. So there is a group, there's an Instagram page called Presenter Friends, and you can request to join the group chat. So if anyone is looking to be a presenter, then it's called @Presenter Friends. Then you should look into that. Mark, in terms of Byta, is there anything that you guys have been doing to stay connected with the community? I mean, of course, you guys are having the Zoom, like business Zoom conversations. Anything else you've been doing for the wider community?
Yeah, well, what we did was so I kept getting invited to events, and then I realized, like, why don't we do an event ourselves? So we've started a monthly thing where I do a little talk at the start, and then I interview someone about something, because we've sort of noticed that it's very hard to find good advice about the music industry for either if you're an artist or if you want to work in music. And so what we thought we'd do is, why don't we just do these monthly events where we try to get as many people in and talk about a subject that's relevant to most people who work in music, these big questions. And so the first one was a month ago with Hugh Stevens, who used to be a DJ at Radio 1. And then next week we have someone from New York who's going to talk about streaming playlists, which is very important. So that was the big thing we did. Was I went from having zero confidence about doing anything online to, oh, well, you know, I can embarrass myself equally as much as everybody else can online. But I noticed T also mentioned, how will you continue when things open up? And I think that's going to be a bit weird, because I don't know if it's going to be the same going to live events that it is. So I'm a bit worried that I'm going to have to do too many live events and not enough online stuff. I think it's going to be the change of going back. I know, Edith, for you, like, you're like, online, forget it. I want to be back in the clubs or whatever. But I think it's going to be a weird situation where you're going to have to hopefully get to do both things a bit more. Do lots of stuff online still, but then also do stuff live. So I don't know how it's going to be weird when it all opens up again. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, it will definitely be a huge adjustment. I am looking forward to it. Well, there have been a few like festivals and things announced that are due to come up in London and around the UK. So I'm intrigued to see how that's going to pan out. Are we going to be social distancing? You know, what's the deal? But hopefully things will return to a relative normal in a year or two. So that'll be interesting to see. I do want to throw it back to you and just talk about how would you think, as you work in digital audio, what are some of the tools? So if anyone is an artist or creative, an up-and-coming creative, what are some of the tools that they need to know in terms of like audio, or what other platforms they can use
for community building?
Yeah.
Like that's a tough one, because I get in trouble for saying there's no simple solution to anything. But I think what's super important, everybody knows all the platforms. You know, there's tons of social media. There's things like Discord. What Vacation's talking about, WhatsApp, like that kind of stuff is super smart. But what the best piece of advice I give is that you're not going to be someone who's some sort of guru across every platform. And like Vacation would say, like he's doing something else. Like he's got a lot on the go. He can't be running social media 24/7. It just doesn't work. So my advice is that you want to find the platforms that work for you, and the communities where you feel most comfortable, because that's where you're going to have an impact. Because you can't do everything. You can't be omnipresent everywhere. So I'm always thinking that you just want to be where you think you yourself would want to be. I know that's a vague answer, but I think that's the best piece of advice. You should have a presence everywhere.
Yeah.
But the idea that you're tweeting 24/7 doesn't really mean anything. Like it's you want to do things in the places. Like, did you say you're a presenter, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a couple platforms that you focus on?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much on all platforms, but my main focus is Instagram and YouTube. I might tweet every once in a while, but I know that my audience is very much engaged on Instagram, and then YouTube for longer form content. So I suppose for artists, it could be like Spotify, SoundCloud.
Yeah,
whatever.
like I think from a trying to attract and engage people, like I would be the same. I would prefer to be on Instagram. And I think then YouTube says a lot about, as a presenter, you want people to hear you. And do you know what I mean? Like there's that element. And I think, so a lot of it depends on the music you make. Something I talk a lot about is that if you make like, death metal music, you're not going to get played on the radio. So you don't really need to worry about getting played on Radio 1 at lunch, you know? So that's the other thing. You got to think, okay, like who am I and what's the music I'm making and where is that? Or if you're a presenter, like what kind of presenter am I? What do I do? What are that's the most important thing, because I think you can go down a lot of dead ends thinking, I was listening to some dude on some, panel who said I should definitely do this and everything will be great. It's more, do you see what I mean? Like it's thinking, okay, well, this is the kind of music I make, or this is the part of the business I want to work in. Let me look for those little things where I can make an impact there. And I think that's the best idea. And I think Vacation, you'd agree, right? Like you can't, like that's pretty ambitious, doing something every week, like releasing tracks. You've got to be crazy.
Yeah. No, thank you, man. I feel like the main thing, emphasizing what you said, just tuning into what works for you, and going back to the formula again. I think it's a case of, for me personally, the success I've had so far with music, it has been consistency, where it's got to the point where people think this is all I do. They forget that I'm at university and stuff, because I put my all into it. And because it's got to a certain point, I've been doing it for 4 years, getting on to 5 now. It's got to a certain point where it's getting a lot of traction now, like being on the playlist with T Peters on the jazz rap playlist and stuff. And it's got to a point where I can't stop now. So even though I was getting hard before, I need to go 10 times as hard now, because it's a make or break right now. And the stress does get to you, because it's like there's so much expectations now. When you first start music, they haven't heard what you sound like. And you drop a few tracks and they're like, okay, all right, I see something there. But then when you get to a point where it's consistency and it's good all the time, it's like you can't drop a bad song yet, because you're on your way up. So if you do it now, you can just crumble. And I feel like the most important thing is just be patient with yourself. It's about time. Of course, see where you want to go and what you want to achieve from it. But for me personally, it's about building a legacy and building a platform for everybody to have that mindset that you can make whatever music you want to make, and it can be true to you at the same time. I feel like it's that way of not compromising or not exchanging for another thing just for success, because success can take time. And no matter what age you are, it just takes time. You just need to stick at it. So I think that's the main thing, consistency and just being true to yourself through that. So yeah.
I want to back you up on the consistency thing, because like how hard is that? Yeah. Consistency, it's like impossible. Like it's the ultimate goal. So I just wanted to reinforce that that's something I hear a lot, and being true to yourself. Because what's the point of achieving anything if you're unhappy inside about what you did? Yeah. So I agree on both those points. Very good points.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, good points on the both of you. Edith, we were just talking about what platforms you use to connect with your community. So as a DJ, what have you been using? Are you SoundCloud or are you on Mixcloud?
I'm more of a SoundCloud girl, just through like nostalgia and stuff. So I haven't really transferred onto Mixcloud just yet. But mostly SoundCloud, and even things like Twitter. So every time I post a mix, I'm sure to post it everywhere naturally. And just I guess not being afraid to promote myself, and like sharing my music with people that I think will like it. Like if I post a mix and, for example, there's someone that follows me but doesn't necessarily listen to me, I'll be sure to like DM them quickly and just ask them to listen to it, because the worst thing they can say is no. And I think through that way I've been able to actually kind of reach a broader range of audiences, because I'm kind of like, I don't know, I can always tell when someone I feel like would appreciate what I create and stuff, and knowing the types of people that you want to listen to your music and stuff has been important. And so just sharing my music and just plugging people with my mixes and stuff like that, and not really being shy about it either, because the worst thing anyone can say is no.
Yeah, that's a great point. Off the back of that, what are some of the benefits of, you know, connecting with people in such a way?
Well, it's just you'd always be surprised at how much people, you know, even just feedback and stuff that you get that you aren't necessarily expecting. And I've actually gotten a couple of bookings just through sending my mixes out to people and stuff, just through random ways, and not really expecting anything, and just having no attachment to the outcome whatsoever has kind of helped me just to build relationships with people, and, you know, even go to studio with certain people or DJs that I admire and stuff like that. So yeah, just even things like tweeting my opinions on music personally and stuff has always been a great way of just kind of building rapport with people. Like, I feel like it's the best way of just even leaving comments and stuff on the people's Instagram and stuff like that. Just helps you to build that kind of online friendship and stuff that we kind of need more now than ever, I suppose. So just having that rapport with people has been the main benefit that I've gotten from that.
Okay. Mark, I'll go to you. And I want to talk a little bit about the challenges behind building, I guess, essentially building business, building a community, building a network. What are some of the struggles that you faced earlier on in your career?
What I think is, well, it's
all the deep side.
Yeah, but it's all super hard, isn't it? I think we all know that. And you know, the initial challenge is always like, can I need to get in the door, and then you sort of get in the door, and then you're like, can I do this? And then I think those are the things that you carry with you the whole way along. I don't think it gets any easier. I think you get better at it not getting any easier. So you learn to be, yeah, there, I see vacation. So it's like you build more confidence. So like Stephen, I go to school here in Sweden, and I do it in Swedish, and so many times, like, I start a course.
Are you Swedish?
Like, no, I'm Canadian. I needed to go to school because I needed the student loans, and so anyway, whatever. So but what happens is I start these courses, and I think I cannot do this. I'm gonna fail, and then in the middle of it, you're like, I'm still gonna fail, and then you try, and then you pass, and then you think, oh, I'm not completely completed yet. And I think that's what happens. You just need the confidence that to keep trying, because I think the key to all of this is you need to put one step in front of the other. And so while you're worrying that you can't do it, just keep trying to do it. And then, but I think it is as simple as that. And accepting that it is a journey, and it's got loads of twists and turns. So I think we've all said that you don't really know where it's going to go. You think it's going to be a straight line, and then suddenly it's like,
nope.
And just hold on for the ride, and realize that there's a lot of people around who are willing to help you. And I think that's what's so good about this kind of stuff. It's like, do you get on a call with all these people you don't know, and everybody says the same thing, and everybody's dealing with the same. Everybody has different experiences. But the core is the same, that I don't know if I can do what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And to hear that from other people, I think is very empowering. It feels really good.
Yeah, I agree. Vacation, how about you? Because you've gone back to university, and you're balancing many things at once. What are some of the struggles?
Challenges. I would say on top of the challenge of time and being able to balance everything, I feel like that comes with just trying to stay organized, realizing what you want to do in the day and for the week, for example. But the main challenge has been finance. Like, being a upcoming artist and trying to fund for things is crazy. Like, me personally, I don't mind sharing this. Like, so I'm my only child to my mother. And yeah, my mom, she's a single parent, and I've really seen her just find ways to get things done without spending a lot of money. And I feel like she really taught me that. And just growing up and seeing that subconsciously, I didn't know I was taking note of all these things, but she's been a reason I've been able to think of these ways of getting through and making it seem like I have money when doing these visuals. So this is my GoPro. and I have about 16 videos on YouTube, and they're all HD and stuff, but it's 13 of them has been done with this GoPro because I didn't have money to pay £400 for like a video to be made by a director and stuff. So I said, you know what, my music, it doesn't really call for expensive visuals. Let me just stay true to myself, realize what I can do, and still try and make it look professional rather than just shooting a video and making it seem like I'm not as committed to creating a vibe. So I made note of that. I invested in a GoPro. Then I learned Premiere Pro, how to edit my videos myself, just playing with color grades and stuff, and just trying to make it seem like one package, almost in a sense where it looks like I'm on the way and I've got a team behind me, but it's just been myself really trying to drive this. I do have my team, Dilemma Entertainment, but they're other artists and they're in the lab at the moment, just working on their self, trying to grow their self. So it has been a case of just finance and trying to think of ways to get through and still make it seem like, okay, I'm moving forward. And hopefully like my testimony of like my journey in music can be inspiration for those who feel like they need finance to get there, because you really don't. And I see it being pushed a lot, especially with like, I saw this talk from Link Up TV. They were saying that you need your videos to go on a platform like GRM Daily or Link Up TV, and you really don't. It's just about finding your formula, staying true to yourself and what you need to do. And anyone in the audience who needs like a list or expertise of mine to kind of guide you in the right direction, I'm more than happy. Just send me an Instagram. My Instagram's Vacation Music. But yeah, just don't listen to people when they say you need finance, because I think now than ever technology is so advanced and there's more than 100 ways of making things work without any finance or financial backing. So yeah, that's just been my journey. Just the finance has been a challenge, but yeah, it's the main thing is trying to act like that's not a variable that decides whether your content will be good or not. So yeah,
DIY is super important. Do it yourself. Having the confidence that you can do it is super important. I just, sorry to interrupt, I just wanted to reinforce that. I totally agree. Learning to do things yourself gives you the confidence that you know what you're doing. So I totally agree. I think that's a great point.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I totally respect that, and I agree. You don't need like huge budgets. You can, if you have an iPhone, you have like one of the new iPhones, exactly. You can shoot a video on your iPhone. Of course. And I love that you went and you learned how to use Premiere and all those things on your own. Thank you. More respect to you.
Oh, thank you.
Edith, I'll throw the question to you. What are some of the challenges that you faced whilst building your community during your journey?
So definitely have to agree with what Vacation was saying about finances and stuff. And obviously at club bookings, you kind of have the luxury of obviously having all the equipment there to use. But at home, I don't necessarily have like, there's a new DJ deck every month, it seems, and they're all like a grand upwards and stuff. So I have the very basic like £200-esque ones. So I kind of use that to just produce all of my content and stuff, and trying to like use the things that I do have to the best of my ability and stuff like that. So for example, right now I'm using Windows as opposed to Mac, so I'm using a software called Audacity, so I can still create like quality mixes and stuff. And like especially with my radio show, obviously 1020 Radio is based in Bristol, but I'm recording it from London each month, and I've kind of had to learn how to like also be a sound engineer as well as DJ, and having to put those mixes together and putting the voiceovers over them. It's a lot of teaching myself, but it's also been incredibly rewarding as well, and just knowing that you've been able to adapt and pick those things up quite quickly. It's been a really great learning curve, and I guess I'm a bit more confident that I don't need to rely on this fancy equipment and stuff like that, because I can be creative on my own and just let my creativity just take me as far as it can. So just even editing stuff like the mixed artwork and stuff, and trying to use Photoshop, and just so many side skills that you pick up. Like you just wear so many hats as a creative. So I'm not just a DJ doing this, I'm doing that and the third as well. So it's been really rewarding. Obviously I would like to have all the fancy equipment and stuff, but in the meantime I'm still relying on my own creativity and resilience to make the best of what I've got.
That's so great to hear. I really, really love that. And especially as a woman in this industry, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So more props to you. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this webinar. Thank you all for your time here. But I would just like, if you'd like to add some final words, some advice, and also where people can find you, your businesses, brands, etc., etc. Mark, I'll start with you.
Thanks a lot. This was super fun. I would just like to reinforce what we've been talking about here, that do it yourself, and that you can do lots of things yourself. You just need the confidence to be able to try it. And that by doing things yourself, you gain more confidence. So it's something that can improve and improve and improve. And I think that's just, I think, the single most important thing, that you need to be asking yourself questions and searching for answers. And that process will make things easier as time passes. And, I think everybody here has proven that you can do things yourself, because that's how I started, and that's what everybody else is doing. So I just think if everybody keeps that in the back of their mind, they'll be okay.
Thank you. And Vacation, how about you?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on this panel. It's an amazing panel. You guys, I can, although I haven't met you guys, I can feel your vibe is real. And I just want to say, I feel like the main thing for my last words would be just to try it out. Like Mark said, have the confidence and just imagine that you're in a space where it's just you. If you want to try and do something, it causes you to learn and want to do things yourself. So you also being a creative as well, it's your vision. So if say for example, you need some artwork done, you can ask somebody to do it, but they probably wouldn't understand your vision, or take a couple revisions to see, okay, this is what you wanted. So if you have that, if you learn the skills, the world is just bigger for you to create and do what you want and whatever your vision is. So I think it's about doing that and having the element of patience as well. It takes some time, so don't be defeated if you can't learn something within a month or 2 months or 3. I mean, there's always, like, YouTube is so diverse. There's so many things to teach you how to use certain softwares and stuff. So it's just a case of being self-dependent, working with your circle to see who can help you and how you can work with each other as well. So yeah, it's just about being patient, staying focused, consistency, and just being happy within that. You got to make sure you're happy. That's the main thing, and that you're looking after yourself and you have the time to breathe as well. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries.
And Edith, how about you?
Just some parting words would just be don't be afraid to show love and just create, and don't get caught up by metrics and follows and listens and likes, especially when you're starting out. Just keep creating. People respond well to consistency, regardless of where you might be starting from, or you know what I'm saying. So just keep, and the confidence will come as you keep creating and stuff. So don't get caught up in the past and metrics and things like that. So just keep creating, because the right people and the right audiences will gravitate towards you. And check out my mixes on SoundCloud, Edith Escobar.
Nice, shameless plug there. We love that. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to all of you. And thank you for watching from home, all our YouTube audience. This has been a great conversation, and we'll be back next month with another webinar. I'm not sure what the topic is, but make sure you're following us at Wired for Music, LDN, and keep up to date with us. Thank you very much, all of you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Anna Marie.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.